many a podcast about how they need to love us well and they need to be attentive and they need to be pursuers and they need to be all of these things. It's always been interesting to me that women have all these demands on how men need to come correct with us, but then we don't want to take the time to figure out how they receive love too. You're asking for a lot and doing very little.
Hey, welcome back to Seriously Sis Podcast. And I'm going to actually kick it over to Julia. I'm just going to tell you what we're talking about.
Yeah, because she's seriously playing with me right now. She's kicking it off to me because I was just made aware that a lot of times she will do that because she doesn't remember the topic that we're going to be talking about. And I don't know how I feel about that. But today we're going to be talking about, I guess this has been on your mind for a while.
Yeah, I think this has been on my mind because it's something that I, in the past, have struggled with.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce the topic and then I'm going to let you take it away of how you've been processing it. So what we're going to be talking about is how, as a strong woman, and I hear people's rolling their eyes right now for me saying strong woman, but what I mean is a woman in the corporate world who's got responsibilities, job-wise, managers, all these things that they have to manage, how we navigate operating in that space and then not taking that same energy into our homes or into the relationships that we have with the men in our lives.
And I want to preface, the reason I've been thinking about this is because I think it's very easy when you come from being the boss somewhere to go into the home and be the boss. And it's almost as if it's demasculating for the man in the house. And that's kind of where, my thought has been I wonder, and it's something that I have to check myself on a lot. I'm I wonder how the rest of the ladies out there process going from I'm in charge to now we're partners.
Right. Exactly. And I do want to just throw this out here that I understand that thought process for you is primarily in how you address your husband. But I think that learning this is something that's important for all women because we all have a man in our life in some form or fashion, whether that's a father, a brother, people that you interact with in church, things like that. And so I think a lot of the things that we're going to talk about are transferable.
Right.
To different relationships, even though we're kind of focusing on marriage right now.
And it's really funny, thinking about it, because, I think a lot of women have, you met the right one energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that, I've actually talked to my younger sister about she didn't always have to say something. Just because you thought it doesn't mean it needs to come to mind. Because I do catch myself sometimes something will come into my mind and it's not very uplifting and it's not very nice. Mm-hmm. And I have to stop myself and say, don't do that. Mm-hmm. Don't do it.
Right.
He don't deserve that. Don't do it.
Right. And even if it's not a situation of you saying something mean or saying something that you shouldn't say, to take your analogy of being in the business realm, especially in your position where, you have a lot of people under you, and a lot of those people are men. You're spending your entire day leading and delegating, and it's your job to call out the things that are not going the way that they should go, or to coach people. That's your job. And so it's very easy to take that, especially when you do well in that job, right? And then not turn it off when you get home. And when I say turn it off, I don't mean that you don't have a voice. I don't mean that you can't speak to things that you see that are wrong. That's not what I mean. But the way that you do it is what I think you're getting at, that some women have an issue with in transitioning from how I would do it at my job to how I do it at home.
To how I do it at home. And this is something that's been on my heart because I do think that for me, in my marriage and my relationships at home, my husband does communicate very well. And it wasn't always like that, but he communicates very well when I'm doing something that is out of line with how our relationship is. Like if I'm doing something that's out of line, just like I kind of will communicate if he's doing something out of line. So something as simple as me going into something with me telling him what he's going to do. He's very good at like communicating like, no, wait, that's not what we're doing here. But I don't think we as women always realize how much of an impact we make on our man. And I always, at work, I talk to people and I tell them, you're the author of this conversation is what I usually tell them when we're going through something. And this can go really well. Or this can go extremely bad. And it's all completely up to you. And whether you go well or bad, we're going to go with it. I'm going to follow you down that rabbit trail and it is what it is. But it's the same way at home. Like you're really you get the opportunity to be the author of the dynamics of your home. Now I can uplift my husband or I can tear him down.
Right.
I can say something one way and it's uplifting, and I can say something and the same thing in a different way and I can tear him apart. So it's all about perspective, and it's like, what is the end goal here? Is my goal to teach my husband who's boss?
Right.
Or is my goal that I want to have a good marriage and I want a good man who is going to support me? And that's where I think that sometimes it's hard to take that boss hat off and you want to be the boss of everything.
Right.
And it just doesn't work in a marriage. It doesn't work in a relationship like that. You need that partnership.
Right.
And when I was younger, I wanted to be in charge of everything. And I do think that at the point I am in life now, I'm really good about letting him be the boss. He probably doesn't like how much I make him be the boss. Especially when the kids have any questions. Go ask your dad. I don't know. He's in charge. Don't ask me. Ask him. You let him have it. But that's something that, just being the kind of person that I am, I'm very direct. I'm a very direct person. And I don't think I require a lot of coddling. And maybe we'll bring Michael on. He can say if that's correct or not. But I don't require a lot of compliments. I don't require a lot of coddling. But that's not the kind of man I married. My man, he not that he requires, but he enjoys being uplifted. Me telling him he's doing a good job. Me telling him he's handsome. Like those are things that build him.
Sure.
And I can choose to do that. Or I can be like, stop being a baby. You know what I mean? Like, like I can make the choice. Like, what dynamic do I want to come out of this?
Yeah. I think the heart of what you're getting at is that you have to understand what the person needs, and you have to understand how the person processes things. I don't think it's a secret that men and women are not built the same. Like we're just not built the same.
Not at all.
The way that we process things is not the way that they process things. And you were talking about being direct and all those things. Most of the time when you go to a woman with something and she don't like it, she's going to clap back immediately, right? She's going to let you know, I didn't like that, or I think you're off base, or, whatever.
Who are you talking to?
Exactly. But a man might not do that. Now, I'm not saying 100% of the time they're not going to do that, but they might not do that. They might take what you're saying and internalize it and it wound them in a way that it doesn't wound us. And the best way that I can put that is like, it would be the same thing for us, for our husband or whatever to come to us and say that they don't love us. That's gonna cut deep, right? Now you might think that you bringing up everything that he's not doing right and all this stuff is you reminding him, I want this done at the house this way by this time and all these things. And for a woman, we would understand that. We would understand that this is a checklist. She just wants it done this way at this time because we need to move on to this next thing. Like, we understand that, but they might hear that as, you didn't do this, you didn't do this, I can't trust you for this.
Right.
And that gets internalized as a lack of respect, which cuts them the same way as us being unloved cuts us. And so understanding how men process things is key to not taking that boss mentality from your job into your home.
And we're not saying don't be a strong woman.
Sure.
But I do think it takes a strong woman to be able to be humble enough to know, like, hey, I could own this. and I can do this my way and put people in their place. Or it's an even bigger strength to be like, you know what, I'm going to do something that's going to nurture this relationship.
Right.
That maybe isn't as natural as the other aspect, because I do this all day long.
Sure.
And I do it this way all day long. But when I get into the house, I need to change from boss lady to how I'm the nurturer in that house. I'm the mama, right, in that house. And I got kids that I have to nurture. And same with my husband. Like I nurture him in the relationship. But it doesn't just go with husband. Like I have an older son. He is a giant amongst others, but he's older. He's a teenager, right? And if all we do is talk down to him and say negative things to him all the time, his confidence will not be there. And it's so important that a man has confidence, right? And that's why, you know, my husband takes him out a lot and does a lot of things with him to instill those confidence into him as a man.
Sure.
It's just as important that I do that with him, that I do that with my husband.
Right. Exactly.
Whereas when I do that with my girls and I tell them how cute they are and I love them, they're just like, ugh, mom. Right?
Yeah.
Why are you telling me this? No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, it is. And I'm glad that you brought that up. Like, this is not to say that women aren't supposed to be strong. And the misconception here is that the Bible is calling us to not be strong. But I think the very nature of the fact that God looked at man and said it's not good for him to be alone, I will send him a suitable helper, meaning that he needs our help, should be all of the confidence boost and the strength that you carry to send you forward. You know, I understand how we've gotten to this place of thinking because we're called to submit, that means we're of lesser value. I understand the thought process, but that's not what the Bible is saying. The Bible is saying that God fashioned us specifically to be helpers because no other part of creation was suitable enough to assist this man. That's a big, like, those are big shoes to fill, right? As in that position. So it's a strength in and of itself. Then it's a strength to know how to steward it well. To your point, you can say the wrong thing and get the wrong result and get the result you don't want, or you can say the right thing and get the result you want. And you can use that in a very manipulative way, and that's not what I'm trying to say. But my point is that there's power in our voices.
Right.
There's power in what we say to the men in our lives. And that is quite a lot of strength, quite a bit of strength and power. And that's why God speaks to it. That's why he's always talking to us about our mouths. That's why he's always saying to win over our husbands with our chaste conduct, not just our lip service.
Yeah. And you said that you can say the wrong thing and get the wrong result, or the right thing and get the right result, right? But I would also like to say sometimes you can say the wrong thing and you're getting the results you want, but you're causing damage by doing it.
Exactly.
Like sometimes I think that we maybe nag because nagging gets us the results we want.
Right.
We want the yard mowed. All right. We want the trash taken out, whatever it is. I want him to build shelves in my kitchen. He ain't done it yet. Like whatever it is, like sometimes that nagging gets us the result. But what we're not seeing is what that nagging's doing on the other side of it.
Right.
Like there's a way to get the result and not tear down, not talk down.
Right.
You know?
You get the result, but you don't get his heart.
Yeah. And sometimes we don't see that, how much that's damaging to the overall relationship.
Yeah. And then they, especially if they don't understand how we process things, they receive the nagging as I can't do anything right. And then they stop trying and then they don't pursue. And then we internalize that as we're no longer loved because they don't pursue, they don't listen, they don't respond to my voice. So you're exactly right. You might have got them dishes washed, but you lost your husband. Like, I don't know if it was worth it, you know?
Spend the night on the couch watching TV.
Yeah.
You're in your room by yourself.
Exactly. And the thing is that rings true for other relationships, like you talked about your son. You know, with me, I still understand that concept, even with me not being married, because I have men in my life. You know, I've got my biological dad, I've got spiritual fathers, I got brothers, you know, and I know the weight that my voice holds in their life, particularly my brother, because he's younger than me. And I know that he looks to me for a lot of things,
Right.
especially since, grabbing a hold of God in the way that it's happened started with me. That's not me patting myself on the back. It just is what it is. And so he's gotten to see that. And so I know, A, he's watching me, and B, a lot of times he comes to me about things. And so I know that I have a very unique power in that I could speak life into him and build him up, or I could speak death over him by the things that I say. And so I try to be very intentional. And even if there's something that needs to get addressed, right? Like if I see him going down a path that I feel like he doesn't need to go down, there's still a way to say it. And then there's a wrong way to say it. There's a way to point out how something is happening and let him know I'm not speaking to the character in you. I'm speaking to the behavior that I'm seeing, and let him know that, after this conversation, you're still a man that God wants, and you still have all this value and you still have all this potential. We just need to redirect here. Versus me telling him, I don't know, we've had this conversation 800 times. I don't know why you don't have this by now, and just make him feel like he'll never get there. Like there is, as a man who wants respect and who wants to feel strong and who wants to feel like they're dependable, you basically just told them that they're weak and they're not dependable and that they'll never get to where they want to be just because of the way that you said the thing,
Right.
even if that wasn't your intention. So I think we would all do well to learn how to speak to the men in our lives, especially since we expect them to learn how to speak to us.
That's true.
Like many a podcast about how they need to love us well and they need to be attentive and they need to be pursuers and they need to be all of these things. It's always been interesting to me that women have all these demands on how men need to come correct with us, but then we don't want to take the time to figure out how they receive love too. You're asking for a lot and doing very little.
Yeah, and sometimes you have to make it an intention that you're going to do those things. Like, I'm going to be honest, I get busy.
Mm-hmm.
I barely respond to text messages sometimes, and I'm like, these people probably think I'm horrible, but I see it and then I get busy.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I know, for me and my husband, we have to make time for one another. We have to, because if we don't, we probably could go months and just say hello, wake up, go to bed, hello, but just moving through life and not being intentional about building our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's something that he was talking to me about recently. And he was like, what we're going to do every 7 days, we're going to go on a date. And he is showing me these things that if I'm just being honest as me and who I am, being so busy and just the kind of person I am, I wasn't even thinking about that. I'm like, oh, you want to go on a date? Why? No, but it's like we see each other every day, we're spending time every day, but he's letting me know, no, I want to spend time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Just us, just me and you. I want to take you on a date. I want to have that time that we can build this relationship and we can have conversation and we spend time just for us.
Right.
Like he's showing me those signs that that's what he wants. And it would be very easy to be like, listen, we got too many kids we don't have time for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll fit you in once a month on, we can't do Thursday, can't do Friday, maybe Saturday nights.
Mm-hmm.
But him showing me those things that make it a little bit easier for me to see, okay, he's asking me for more of my time.
Mm-hmm.
He's asking me for it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that, and I'm not trying to, again, say that I do it perfect, because I don't. But I can say that I've grown a lot in this specific subject. I used to be pretty rough. Mm-hmm. The things that and I'm not proud of that. I'm proud of where I am now. I can say that.
Right.
I am proud of where I am now. I'm proud of what I've seen me and my husband build now. And I think it's something that to be proud of. Mm-hmm. But it was something really hard for me to adapt to, learning how to pour in to him. Mm-hmm. And it's it has to be intentional, but
Sure.
it can be life changing for your marriage.
Right.
It can be life changing for your relationship with your kids, that your brother.
Mm-hmm.
It can be really life changing. You have such an opportunity to pour into them.
Right. And you touched on this, and this is something I just want to continue to drive home, that we don't think that we have like the answers for everything, but a lot of the perspectives that we have come from not getting things right. Right. So like you talking about you had to learn how to do this.
Right.
The fact that we can have this conversation in the first place is because at some point you didn't get it right, and we've learned that, oh, let's not do that, and even some of the other conversations that we've had, I just want to continue to put it out there that like we're not suggesting that we're like experts on any of the things. We're just sharing what we've learned, over life and all these things. And I can say the same thing again, not from the perspective of a marriage, but I know from friendships that I've had, and I know from ways that I've spoken to my brother in the past, that even though I might not have meant it in the way that it was received, it still hurt them.
Right.
And being humble enough to be like, okay, so what I said to you, if it was said to me, I would have processed that completely differently. I would not have processed that the way that you did. But how can I stand here and invalidate how you feel?
Right.
And so learning that and being around men, and men who would be willing to even be vulnerable enough to share that, that this thing that you said, or, the way that you did this, it made me feel this way. First of all, if you get that,
That's impressive.
that's impressive, because you might not always get that, because a lot of times men just internalize. But if you get that, listen to it, because they're telling you how to love them the same way that we're telling them how to love us. They're telling you what they need, and we need to stop. We need to stop beating them over the head for the things that they need. Men need respect. It's not just that they want respect; it's a need. The way that we need love. It's not just a want. We need that. We need that. And so if someone were to look at us and say, well, you shouldn't expect love, we'd look at them like they were crazy, right? We'd probably be ready to slap them, to be completely honest. And it's the same thing for men. So like if we want that from them, we have to be willing to give them what they need too.
Yeah, and you did say something there that I want to touch on. It was about them letting you know how something affected them, and I think a lot of the times where us women we mess up is something is bothering us, but we don't speak on it. Instead, we just keep our mouth shut, and then eventually, now I'm yelling at you because I'm ticked off because dinner wasn't ready when I got home. Like, or something to that, instead of having just a conversation and saying, hey, babe, when I get home from work and it's late and dinner isn't ready, it kind of bothers me, because it makes me feel like that's more weight that I have to carry. Sometimes we're blowing up because we aren't having those little, hey, just so you know, when I get up in the morning and you get up before me and you left the toilet seat up, and I fell in the toilet because you didn't put it back down,
Right.
that has not happened, but it's just an example. But it's one of those, like, if something's really bothering you, instead of waiting and waiting and waiting for them to figure it out, like, they're going to figure out that I am not happy with the way the yard looks. They'll figure it out, right? They clearly see it. Like, we don't communicate it.
Right.
And then we act absolutely crazy and go off. Right.
And when we do communicate it, then we communicate it in the wrong way. Because, to use your example, saying, when I come home from working all day and consistently there's no dinner ready, I just want you to know how I receive that. The way that I receive that is that I'm unsupported. I feel unsupported. That's very different than saying, you can't do nothing right, and every time I come in here, everything's a mess, and like, why am I even here?
Y'all can't do nothing without me.
Yeah,
nothing.
Like, that's a very different way, because you're still communicating that there's something that
it's
bothering you, but you're letting him know that, like, hey, I know that you see this as that dinner is not ready. I see this as I can't get the support I need. And if this continues, it's only going to build on top of that. That's communication. The other stuff is just yelling at people.
Belittling.
Mm-hmm.
And Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't respond well to that.
And sometimes that's the easier way to do it. Taking a moment. I'm gonna not say anything, and I'm gonna wait until I'm ready. I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna say, "Hey, I just want to let you know today, like we were talking through this, and this happened, and this is how I perceive that, and it made me feel. I don't know if that was
Calm.
intentional. I don't know if it wasn't intentional, but I just want to let you know because it did bother me, and I don't want it to happen again.
Much more calm.
It's a way different scenario. You'll get better results.
Exactly. So, and you know, we're talking about men, but and I think we should talk about men, but any relationship that you find yourself in, you have to learn
Right.
how to talk to people. You have to learn how they receive things. You have to learn where you can go and where you can't go with them, and just anything. So it's really not a far-fetched idea to think that we would take the time to learn how to speak to those closest to us, and to learn how to speak to them in a way that's going to do the most good instead of break up happy homes.
You also have to learn yourself.
Yes.
I think a lot of the time we struggle to know ourselves and to learn ourselves and to make ourselves better. Like we think, oh, we've peaked or something, and there's nothing's getting better than this, right? You have to learn yourself. Know what your strengths are and your weakness. Some people are there like I just have a short fuse. I just have anger issues. Like whatever,
Well, fix it.
short fuse. No, you don't. You just have a lack of self-control.
And fix
And
it.
you can teach yourself how to have self-control. You can teach yourself how to slow your tongue.
Or if you can't, get around someone who can. That's discipleship. Get around a pastor, a mentor,
Right.
a brother, a sister, someone who can, well, if you're a woman, get around a sister, not a brother, because that's a whole different podcast episode. But someone who can walk you through that. Just because you acknowledging it is not licensed to stay there.
Right. And it does take practice, and you won't always get it right. And sometimes you'll still have those moments. But like I said, I'm speaking from experience. I can be the person that could blow up, but I also can be the person that can be slow to speak.
Yeah.
And I use that as much in my personal life as I do in my business life. There's been instances where I've heard people be like, Madison, you should have went off. You know what I did? I didn't. I practiced my self-control. And I wanted to be like, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but I didn't. I didn't. I said,
And I will say one more thing, that we ladies need to be better at saying that we were wrong
Oh,
and that
what
we're
is that?
sorry.
No, what is that?
Because the fact that my entire social media is about husbands teaching newly married men that they will forever always be wrong is crazy. Like, listen,
I think it's biblical.
I don't think it's biblical. Like, we have to be able to say that. We have to be
Right.
able to admit it to ourselves when we're wrong. And I feel like even that will light something up inside the right man to be like, okay,
She can take accountability.
she can take accountability, and she respects me enough to come and let me know that she messed this up. So we got to be better about that, ladies.
It's hard.
It's hard. It's hard. But you'd have to do it in any other relationship. Just the one closest to you. It's the one you're supposed to be becoming one. You would think that you would do it in that one.
Right. People have a hard enough time doing that outside of their marriage.
They do.
But
But
I see it
again,
all the time. I'm like, you did that. No, I didn't. What?
but you're on camera.
That's on me.
Okay.
I don't know who that is, but it ain't me.
Crazy work. But yeah, that's it. You just, for as far as I'm concerned, my final thought is you just gotta learn how to speak to people and understand that men process things differently than women. Once
Right.
we can get that in our minds, we'll start doing things differently, and hopefully there'll be some better fruit.
And my final thought is I just want to say, like, the reason, like, I really wanted to talk through this is because I really do want to see some strong marriages out there. And
Sure.
I want to see marriages get stronger. I see mine get stronger every, feels like, day. But I guess the Lord just really brought some things to my attention over the years, and especially when it comes to my relationship with men and my husband. And I think there's a lot that we women could learn from one another about being more supportive.
It's crazy that the very thing that we're asking for, we're struggling with doing. But anyway, I'm done because I think that one's going to get me in trouble.
Well, guys, until next time.
See you guys.